Imagine Eddie Murphy as a Ghostbuster, cracking jokes and chasing spirits alongside Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. It almost happened, but Murphy made a shocking decision that not only reshaped Ghostbusters, but also launched his career to an entirely new level. Now, decades later, Murphy finally reveals the real reason he turned down the role. Let's get into his story. From the start, Eddie Murphy's life was shaped by both tragedy and resilience. When Eddie was just 2 years old, his father, Charles, a transit police officer and part-time comedian, died suddenly of a heart attack. This loss left a lasting impact on Eddie and his older brother, Charlie. After this, their mother, Lillian, worked tirelessly as a telephone operator to support them. Life became even harder when Lillian fell ill when Eddie was 8. The brothers were placed in foster care for a year, a challenging experience that Eddie later credited with shaping his comedic voice. Even in those tough times, he discovered that humor could be a way to cope and connect with others. Growing up in Bushwick, Eddie was surrounded by a mix of influences that would later shape his comedy. At 15, he discovered Richard Pryor's album, That Nigger's Crazy. It was a turning point for Eddie, inspiring him with Pryor's raw, unfiltered humor. Pryor's ability to turn personal struggles into comedy deeply resonated with Eddie, but Pryor wasn't his only influence. Eddie admired Peter Sellers' talent for transforming into characters, an ability that Eddie himself would later master. He also looked up to Bill Cosby's storytelling, Red Fox's bold humor, and even non-comedians like Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee, who impressed Eddie with their confidence and charisma. This diverse mix of inspirations helped Eddie create a unique comedic style. Eddie's comedy journey officially began on July 9, 1976, when he performed at the Roosevelt Youth Center. At just 15, he took the stage and mimicked Al Green singing "Let's Stay Together." The audience loved it, and Eddie realized his gift for impressions and commanding attention. From that moment, he was hooked. He began performing at local clubs, sneaking out at night to chase his dream while still attending high school. His dedication came with challenges. His late-night comedy gigs caused him to fall behind in school, and he ended up in summer classes to catch up. But Eddie's focus never wavered. In those early days, Eddie's material drew heavily from his life in Brooklyn. He found humor in everyday situations and crafted characters based on the people around him. One of his first routines, performed at just 15, was an impression of his drunk stepfather at a barbecue, showing his ability to turn uncomfortable moments into laughter. As he gained experience, Eddie's style evolved. He began tackling bigger issues like race and class, blending sharp social commentary with his unique sense of humor. By the time Eddie was 18, his reputation as a comedic prodigy was growing. His sharp wit, fearless performances, and undeniable charisma caught the attention of talent scouts. In 1980, Eddie Murphy joined Saturday Night Live, SNL, at just 19 years old during one of the show's darkest periods. The original stars and creator, Lorne Michaels, had left, and critics were calling it Saturday Night Dead. Many believed the show wouldn't survive. Murphy's arrival turned out to be exactly what the struggling program needed. He made his debut on November 22nd, but it was his third episode that changed everything. During the Weekend Update segment, he performed as Raheem Abdul Muhammad, a high school basketball player protesting a judge's ruling requiring teams to include at least 2 white players. The performance caught the attention of audiences and producers, marking the start of his meteoric rise. What makes his journey even more impressive is how it began. Murphy was initially hired as a featured player due to budget constraints, but his talent was undeniable. He was quickly promoted to a full-time cast member. Former producer John Dumanian recalled that the moment Murphy walked into his audition, he exuded star power. He didn't just meet expectations, he redefined them. Murphy revitalized SNL at a time when it desperately needed a savior. As James Andrew Miller, co-author of Live from New York, put it, Eddie was vital. Without him, SNL's future would have looked very different. During his time on the show from 1980 to 1984, Murphy created characters that became cultural icons and saved the show's reputation. One of his most famous creations was Buckwheat, a grown-up version of the Little Rascals character. Buckwheat's popularity was so overwhelming that Murphy decided to retire him in dramatic fashion. In a 1984 episode, Buckwheat was assassinated on camera in a series of sketches. It was a bold move, proving Murphy's willingness to take risks and subvert audience expectations. Another unforgettable character was Mr. Robinson, a parody of Mr. Rogers. Through Mr. Robinson, Murphy used humor to talk about urban issues, introducing his young viewers to concepts like scumbuckets and nutrition, which he hilariously explained as welfare checks. Even Fred Rogers himself appreciated the clever parody. Murphy's portrayal of Gumby was another standout. He turned the gentle claymation figure into a grumpy, cigar-smoking showbiz veteran who barked, "I'm Gumby, damn it!" Surprisingly, the son of Gumby's creator, Joseph Clokey, praised Murphy's take, calling it genius. Murphy's impact wasn't limited to SNL. His stand-up comedy redefined the genre. In 1983, at just 22 years old, he released Delirious, a groundbreaking HBO special that showcased his fearless humor and sharp storytelling. The special was revolutionary for its time, with Murphy delivering 70 minutes of unfiltered comedy. Known for its heavy use of profanity, Delirious included 230 uses of fuck and 171 of shit, setting a new standard for raw, uncensored comedy. Audiences loved it, and moments like his routine about kids chasing ice cream trucks became iconic. However, some material, especially jokes about gay people and AIDS, sparked controversy. In 1996, Murphy apologized for his homophobic language, recognizing its harm. In 1987, Murphy followed up with Raw, which took his comedy to even greater heights. Filmed at Madison Square Garden, the special grossed $50 million in theaters, a groundbreaking achievement for a stand-up act. Raw delved into personal and relatable topics, including family cookouts and his mother's famous shoe-throwing discipline. These routines gave audiences a window into African-American family life, while making them laugh out loud. Murphy's stand-up wasn't just funny, it was influential. Comedians like Chris Rock and Keenan Ivory Wayans credit his specials as major inspirations. Despite some controversial material, Delirious and Raw remain comedy milestones. Retrospective reviews have kept Delirious highly rated, with an 83% approval on Rotten Tomatoes. Eddie's big break came with the action comedy 48 Hours, directed by Walter Hill. The role of Reggie Hammond wasn't originally meant for Murphy, it was intended for Richard Pryor. But when Pryor became unavailable, the filmmakers took a chance on Murphy, who had no prior film experience. The gamble paid off in a way no one could have imagined. Murphy's performance in 48 Hours was electric. He played Reggie Hammond, a convict temporarily released to help a gruff cop, played by Nick Nolte, solve a case. The chemistry between Murphy and Nolte was unforgettable and set a new standard for the buddy cop genre. One scene where Murphy's character uses Nolte's badge to intimidate patrons in a redneck bar became iconic and showcased Murphy's mix of charisma, humor, and confidence. Released on December 8, 1982, the film grossed over $78 million domestically, becoming one of the year's biggest hits. Murphy's work earned him a Golden Globe nomination, and even the film's director, Walter Hill, predicted he would become as big a star as Richard Pryor. This debut established Murphy as a leading man and proved his ability to captivate audiences. Following the success of 48 Hours, Murphy starred in Trading Places in 1983, directed by John Landis. This comedy paired him with Dan Aykroyd in a story about a street hustler and an upper-class broker who switch lives as part of an elaborate bet. Like 48 Hours, the role of Billy Ray Valentine wasn't originally written for Murphy. The film was first planned for Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, but after Pryor's accident, Murphy was cast alongside Aykroyd. The decision proved to be inspired. Murphy's portrayal of Valentine was both hilarious and insightful, blending humor with sharp social commentary on class and race. Shot on location in Philadelphia and New York, Trading Places had a $15 million budget and was released on June 8, 1983. It became a massive success, earning over $90 million domestically and $120 million worldwide. Critics praised its clever script and the chemistry between Murphy and Aykroyd, with many noting how the film revived the screwball comedy genre while addressing deeper social issues. Murphy's performance further cemented his reputation reputation as one of Hollywood's top comedic talents. Then came Beverly Hills Cop in 1984, a film that would launch Murphy to international superstardom. Directed by Martin Brest, the movie featured Murphy as Axel Foley, a street-smart Detroit detective who travels to Beverly Hills to solve his friend's murder. The production history of the film was unusual. It was initially written as an action vehicle for Sylvester Stallone, but when Stallone exited the project over creative differences, Murphy was cast just 2 weeks before filming began. As Murphy transformed the role into something entirely unique, his quick wit, charm, and comedic timing turned what could have been a straightforward action film into a genre-defining comedy. Released on December 5, 1984, Beverly Hills Cop was a phenomenon. It earned over $234 million domestically, making it the highest-grossing film of the year in North America. Adjusted for inflation, it remains one of the most successful R-rated films in history. Critics and audiences alike praised Murphy's performance. The New York Times described him as the shrewdest, fastest-talking underdog, bringing energy and humor to every scene. The film received Academy Award and Golden Globe nominations for its screenplay, and Murphy's performance became a cultural touchstone. By 1983, Murphy's rising star and tight schedule made his participation nearly impossible. Paramount Pictures had just fast-tracked Beverly Hills Cop into production with Murphy as the lead. Filming for Ghostbusters began in late October 1983, while Beverly Hills Cop started shooting in December of the same year. With both productions overlapping, Murphy simply couldn't commit to Ghostbusters. In a 2019 interview, Murphy admitted, "I was supposed to be in Ghostbusters. Dan Aykroyd and I talked about it during Trading Places, but I ended up choosing Beverly Hills Cop. I wish I could have done both." The summer of 1984 was a battle at the box office, with Ghostbusters premiering on June 8 and Beverly Hills Cop releasing on December 5. Both films became massive hits. Ghostbusters earned $229 million domestically, but Beverly Hills Cop narrowly surpassed it, grossing $234 million in the U.S. Globally, the competition remained tight, with Beverly Hills Cop earning $316 million compared to Ghostbusters' $295 million. Both films captivated audiences, setting a new standard for comedy and action in the 1980s. Choosing Beverly Hills Cop proved to be a career-defining move for Murphy. The film's success made him one of Hollywood's biggest stars, catapulting him from a rising talent to a top-tier leading man. By 1985, Murphy had signed a record-breaking $25 million deal with Paramount Pictures, making him the highest-paid actor at the time. The role of Axel Foley became iconic, earning him Golden Globe nominations and cementing his place as a comedy legend. After the massive success of Beverly Hills Cop in 1984, he became a box office powerhouse, releasing hit after hit. In 1986, The Golden Child earned $79.8 million in the U.S., despite receiving mixed reviews. A year later, shattered expectations, grossing $153.7 million domestically. Then came Coming to America in 1988, a fan favorite that brought in $128 million in the U.S. and $288 million globally. This film showcased Murphy's unique talent for playing multiple characters, a skill he would perfect later in The Nutty Professor. His success wasn't limited to acting. In 1985, Murphy's single Party All the Time climbed to number 1, 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. He also made waves in stand-up comedy, with his 1987 concert film Eddie Murphy Raw grossing $50 million, a record that stood for 22 years. As the 1990s began, Murphy continued to shine. Films like Another 48 Hours in 1990 and Boomerang in 1992 performed well at the box office. But it was The Nutty Professor in 1996 that truly reminded audiences of his talent. The film earned $270 million worldwide and proved Murphy could seamlessly portray multiple characters in one story. However, the late 1990s and early 2000s brought mixed results. Murphy shifted towards family-friendly films like Dr. Dolittle Doolittle in 1998 and Daddy Daycare in 2003. While these movies were financially successful, critics questioned whether he had lost the sharp edge that made him a star. This period also brought low points, such as Norbit in 2007, a film that received harsh reviews and is often remembered as one of his career's biggest missteps. Amid these ups and downs, Murphy found success in an unexpected place. He voiced Donkey in the Shrek franchise, which began in 2001. Donkey became one of the series' most beloved characters, and the films collectively grossed over $2.9 billion worldwide. Despite the commercial triumphs, Murphy faced a major disappointment in 2007. He was considered a front-runner for an Oscar for his role in Dreamgirls, but lost to Alan Arkin. Many speculated that the release of Norbit just weeks before the awards ceremony hurt his chances. After a quieter 2010s, Murphy staged a remarkable comeback in 2019 with Dolomite Is My Name. His portrayal of Rudy Ray Moore earned him widespread praise and a Golden Globe nomination. The film, released on Netflix, reminded audiences of Murphy's ability to blend comedy and drama. That same year, he returned to Saturday Night Live as host after 35 years, delivering an episode that became the highest rated in 2 years. In 2021, Murphy revisited one of his most iconic roles with Coming to America, the sequel to the 1988 classic. While the film received mixed reviews, it was a major streaming success for Amazon Prime Video. More recently, he partnered with Netflix for You People in 2023 and reprised his role as Axel Foley in Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. in 2024. This marked a triumphant return to the character that made him a superstar 30 years after Beverly Hills Cop 3rd. Eddie Murphy's personal life has been as dynamic and fascinating as his career in entertainment. Known for his iconic roles and legendary stand-up comedy, Murphy has also made headlines for his relationships and family life. Over the years, he has fathered 10 children with 5 different women, creating a blended family that reflects both his colorful past and his deep commitment to fatherhood. Murphy's journey as a father began in the late 1980s. His first child, Eric, was born in 1989 from his relationship with Paulette McNeely. Shortly after, he had his second son, Christian, in November 1990 with Tamara Hood. These early relationships marked the beginning of a complex family dynamic that Murphy has carefully nurtured over the years. In 1993, Murphy married Nicole Mitchell, a model in what became his longest-lasting relationship. Their 13-year marriage produced 5 children. Despite their divorce in 2006, Murphy and Mitchell have maintained a strong co-parenting relationship, demonstrating mutual respect and dedication to their children. Among Murphy's high-profile romances, his brief relationship with singer Whitney Houston remains one of the most talked about. Though short-lived, their connection reportedly left a lasting impression on Houston, who was deeply enamored with him. In 2006, Murphy's love life again made headlines when he began dating Melanie Brown, also known as Mel B, of the Spice Girls. Their relationship resulted in the birth of their daughter, Angel Iris, in April 2007. However, the union was clouded by controversy when Murphy publicly questioned Angel's paternity. A DNA test later confirmed that Murphy was her father, and he embraced his role in her life. Later that year, Murphy became engaged to TV producer Tracy Edmonds. They had a symbolic wedding in French Polynesia on January 1, 2008, but their union ended just 2 weeks later. The relationship added another brief yet high-profile chapter to Murphy's love story. In 2012, Murphy began a relationship with Australian model and actress Paige Butcher. Together, they welcomed their first child, daughter Izzy Una, in May 2016. 2 years later, they announced they were expecting their second child, and Murphy proposed shortly after. Their son, Max Charles, was born in November 2018. Over the years, Murphy and Butcher have kept a low profile, focusing on their family life. Insiders have described their relationship as centered on family, with Butcher maintaining maintaining a close bond with Murphy's children from previous relationships. After 12 years together and a 5-year engagement, Murphy and Butcher married on July 9, 2024, in a private ceremony in Anguilla. This marked Murphy's second marriage and Butcher's first, solidifying their long-term commitment to each other and their family. Murphy often speaks with pride about his role as a father. With 10 children ranging in age from 5 to 34, he has described himself as blessed and emphasized the joy and humor that define the Murphy household. His children have pursued various paths, with some, like his daughter Bria, following him into the entertainment industry. Murphy's family dynamic also includes his role as a grandfather. In 2019, his son Miles and daughter-in-law Carly Olivia welcomed a daughter, Evie Isla, further expanding the Murphy legacy. Despite his fame, Murphy has always placed family at the center of his life. He has maintained positive relationships with the mothers of his children and created a harmonious, blended family environment. His approach to fatherhood and family has evolved, prioritizing stability, humor, and love. As he enters this new chapter with Paige Butcher, Murphy continues to balance his roles as an entertainer, father, and now a devoted husband, remaining one of Hollywood's most enduring and beloved figures.